Hello everybody, welcome back to Cool's Book Reviews. Now this episode we don't actually have a full book for you, but an article from the True West magazine. Now this marks only the second time we've ever featured an article on the series, the other one being the James Dean article from the Life magazine. Now this one actually garnered our interest for two different reasons. The first reason was it discusses the film Django Unchained. And the second reason is it was written by author James B. Mills, friend of the channel and author of the fantastic book Billy the Kid, El Bandido Simpatico. Now, to actually get my hands on this was not the easiest of tasks. It actually became sort of an adventure in itself to find the magazine. It used to be that True West wasn't too hard to find. I don't know if that's changing, but even the Tombstone Special Edition True West one was only out for a week in only one of the stores within, I'd say, about 20 miles of my location. But that doesn't compare to the adventure I had to go on to find this one. It actually took about 3 states and 40 different stores, and luckily a Barnes & Noble in Colorado Springs ended up having it, and I was pretty excited to get a physical copy. I've always been big into collecting like physical media and books. I like having an actual copy for myself. So if you are looking for the edition with this article in it, this is what the cover looks like. And you can see right there, Django Unchained, The Struggle of the Modern Western by James B. Mills. Now we'll actually kind of get back to this cover towards the end. I do want to discuss it a tad. But yeah, if you look at it, it looks like a True West magazine because that's what it is. It definitely has a bunch of different good articles in there, lots of good books. Obviously something we really enjoy on this channel is books. But if we open up to this page, we find the article we want to discuss, and that is Django Unchained. A decade since the highest grossing Western was released, the film remains controversial, by James B. Mills. Now the article runs from page 36 to page 39. It also features numerous pictures, as you can see on this page, a lot of different posters. I actually enjoy this one. Reminds me of Red Dead Redemption 2. And then it showcases pictures. You can see Leonardo DiCaprio and Sam Jackson, obviously from a scene in the movie. And right here you can see Jamie Foxx. And it does say Fox grew up horseback riding in Terrell, Texas, and is an accomplished horseman. In Django Unchained, he rode his horse Cheetah, which was renamed Tony, also the name of Tom Mix's horse, in the movie. After the production, Fox competed in the 2019 Bill Pickett Rodeo. And then you can see on this one another picture, Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz, and then of course, pretty famous scene in the movie. You see Jamie Foxx dressed head to toe in a pretty iconic outfit. Honestly, I think if you show people this, at least of my age group, I'm sure people would actually know what movie that came from. So because it is only those few pages, I don't want to go too in-depth in it, not like a normal book review. Obviously, I want you guys to actually pick up this one or find it online or whatever. Help support, James B. Mills, help support True West. Let's get into a few little notes I took while reading this article. One of the first ones I actually took down was, are modern westerns loved more by film lovers than lovers of the genre? Recently, and I know Django is pretty controversial. I have seen that, at least in the comments. Before I was able to pick this up, I saw, it being posted on the True West or different Wild West groups I was in. There were some comments in there, and I was like, wow, I guess I didn't realize how controversial it was, I get Tarantino might not be for everybody, but I see people call it not a Western, and some of the reasons are kind of strange. I don't get how it's not a Western. Some people say, well, it's not the setting of a Western. But for the most part, most Jesse James movies don't take place in the Wild West. They take place in the Midwest or the South, and they're still considered Westerns. Most countdowns you see, I know one movie that always comes up is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, right? It's a spaghetti Western. And Tarantino, who I get, not for everybody, but Tarantino is a fan of Westerns and spaghetti Westerns, and you can see that homage throughout this film. So, to me, just kind of weird. It's definitely a Western. There's definitely subgenres of Westerns, and some of those are the only ones surviving. And a lot of times, Western is a theme, you know? And you can see that in neo-Westerns, Hell or High Water. There's space Westerns. There's horror Westerns. So there's comedy Westerns. I mean, Blazing Saddles, is that a normal Western? Billy the Kid versus Dracula. I'm not saying that's a good one. I'm just using that as an example. So there's all these different types. So I think to just kind of pigeonhole Westerns into a small little thing, like some of these comments I've seen, is going to hurt a genre that's been in decline since the 70s. Something that, James kind of talked about in the article. Film is definitely by far one of the biggest mediums into leading people down that rabbit hole. I don't know how many interviews I've done where people have said Young Guns was the reason they got into Billy the Kid history, or The Long Riders is why they wanted to learn more about Jesse James. There's all these different things that can lead people down, but movies is so big, it's so easy for people to consume. Django is so thematically a Western. It's almost kind of weird. Like, I talk to people, even people maybe twice my age here, and maybe it's just Colorado, I don't know. But I didn't know it was so controversial until I read the comments. So that was eye-opening to me. Before even getting into the article, was just seeing the comments. But yeah, getting back to the question on hand, are modern Westerns loved more by film lovers? I've seen, like, when Assassination Jesse James came out, there's just so much backlash to that one that I saw here. Maybe it was different in certain places like Missouri and stuff like that. Obviously, I've learned there's a backlash towards Django, so maybe the modern Western is made more for the film lover. So I don't know. That's a question I thought of. Let me know in the comments below what you think. My second kind of note was a follow-up from that last one, and that was, why is the Western in decline? We have all these big actors, we have ways to make it come more alive than ever before, but why have people lost interest? A lot of times people will tell you it was like, kind of like a fatigue. There were so many Westerns that people fell out of love. But as James puts in the article, Django is the highest grossing Western. So it's not that people won't go out there, especially when you got megastars like Jamie Foxx in there, in that lead role. People will go see the movie. Got Quentin Tarantino. Because he has set aside the mark of 10 films, and only 10 films, he kind of has a prestige. Maybe it's the film connoisseurs, but a lot of times I do see him listening to the best directors of the modern times. And so when you have a Tarantino, you have a Jamie Foxx, why wouldn't people go see it? It's kind of like, why wouldn't people go see Interstellar when you got a Matthew McConaughey and a Christopher Nolan directing? When you put the stars in, people will go see. So what is the decline? And is it because it's not evolving? Or is there certain facets that want it to stay how it was in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s? For me, I definitely think to survive, you got to evolve. I like where Django was going. It's different. It pays homage to what's come before, while kind of blazing its own path, with some beautiful cinematography, some great acting, and, Tupac plays. And the article also mentions, like, the lack of interest in the American West in younger generations. And I know that's something I kind of touched upon earlier, but I definitely see it. A lot of times I go to these historical stuff, and it's a little bit older. I have seen more of an influx of younger people as of late. I'm not super young anymore, obviously, in 30s now. But even when we're going around filming stuff, there's people who will go out of their way to tell us stuff because they're just kind of fascinated that young people like history and want to learn more and keep it alive. And so, I definitely have seen that. I've experienced that. And it's something we'll kind of get to at the end on how we can maybe draw more people into the field. I think that's everyone's goal that loves history. I'm sure it's everyone's goal that reads True West is to help keep the history alive, get more people into it, and who knows, maybe we can even learn more things. I'm sure there's more things about all these famous people we can always learn. It might take some digging, and who knows. Maybe some of them are wild goose chases, but at the same time, fresh eyes can always give new perspectives. Fresh eyes can maybe find the details that we may have missed. So I do think it is important to get the younger generation into history and the Wild West. On that page 36 of the article, James is kind of going over kind of the changing attitudes of Western, I guess, heroes, Western leads. The leads, like, just kind of wallowing and very sad. And he does mention Dane DeHaan as the kid in a scene towards the end of the film in Fort Sumner where he's drank a little bit. He is, for the first time in the movie, he doesn't seem brazen. He doesn't seem confident. He's very sad. He's very remorseful. So this is definitely something we've seen more in modern westerns. James gives some examples of different ones where it's a little bit of a break. He talks about Dead Man. He talks about True Grit as films that kind of break the somber mood. And yeah, it's definitely, I think, kind of true. And I think Dead Man's one that doesn't get enough love. I know it's on the Criterion Collection, so again, maybe the film lovers are ones that are kind of talking about that. But we're here because of this article on Django Unchained. A big movie, highest grossing Western of all time, kind of does fly under the radar. I have seen it in multiple best Western lists of all time. And then I've also seen it in most underrated Westerns of all time, or most underrated movies, And so it's just a weird contradiction. What creates that? And then the article goes into the plot of the film. A freed slave, played by Jamie Foxx, his name's Django, teams up with Christoph Waltz. Leonardo DiCaprio's this bad guy. Very kind of outside the type that Leo plays. And there's that famous scene, I know it's written in this article as well, where Leo breaks the glass in his hand. He just keeps going, and there's blood, and it's visceral, right? It's a visceral film moment. Jamie Foxx is just so good in this role too. As far as this casting, I think it was casted fantastically. The film itself, and it's kind of fun because it has this weird shared universe too, outside the film. Where Jamie Foxx appears in was it A Million Ways to Die in the West? I think it is that McFarlane film where also Back to the Future's reference. So is this a big universe? I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because, like I said, I want you guys to read it. I know I went off on a tangent. This surprisingly is a very long video compared to what I thought it would be because it's just an article. But I definitely had some thoughts reading it. But yeah, go pick it up, read it. Let us know in the comments below. I think it's a fantastic written article. Brings up a lot of good points. It definitely made me think a lot of stuff, as you can tell. But yeah, I don't think this is the last time we'll talk about Django. A little tease, but who knows, maybe James will be appearing on the channel here shortly, and we'll maybe do a deep dive or something on the film itself. Because it is underrated, and I definitely want to get into it more, and discuss some of these other topics, and just more of the themes, and cinematography, and stuff like that. And it also got, my brain rolling on, the evolution of the Western. I know so many people, when you say a Western, they might think that 40s to 60s kind of age range. But like I said, there's so many subgenres and stuff. I think it'd be really cool sometime to do a kind of look at the different ways that the Western is still alive in film, in television, and thriving in a time where it's really hard. We've seen modern neo-westerns like Hell or High Water or Yellowstone just blow up, become this cultural thing. We've seen Django Unchained. We've seen The Assassination of Jesse James. They both, are recognized as these really well-made films. Hopefully, with some care and love, we can get the Western back in the eye of the public. And that kind of brings me back to something I said we were going to talk about earlier. And that was the cover. If you go a little bit earlier in the magazine, this one's actually on page 9, you'll find this article, A Moving Target, by Bob Bose Bell. And it talks about different alternate covers for this issue. This issue does talk about the Killers of Flower Moon, so you got that concept. The concept on the right features Jamie Foxx and the, title, The Highest Grossing Western of All Time. And this is where I wanted to talk about, like, broadening the reach. You know, we all love classic pictures, and we see one on this cover. At the same time, it's important to try to get new people interested. You know, none of us are here forever, so at some point we gotta pass this knowledge and this love on to future generations. And you gotta get people interested somehow. Jamie Foxx is a superstar. Pretty much anyone knows who Jamie Foxx is. So honestly, if it was me, I would have picked this cover with Jamie Foxx, because I think it would have got some fresh eyes on it. Maybe some people that wouldn't normally have picked up the magazine. You know, I have known people personally that won't pick up an issue because they don't know if they already have that issue because it's the same picture. You know, we are limited to what pictures we have. You know, and so I think this one, a fresh cover with Jamie Foxx, somebody, the layman in history, right, might pick this up. And then they might read the article, they might flip through the rest of the magazine, and then they might themselves kind of get that snake bite, right? Catch that bug, that love for history, like all of us have. And so I think it is important to try to reach new audiences. And that's why personally I would have picked that one. But that's just me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Comments below. And I'm just thinking, again, as a YouTube creator, trying to catch people's eyes with thumbnails. You know, if I could, I'd put Jamie Foxx. You know what I did on this thumbnail? Jamie Foxx is on it. There you go. Hopefully get some more eyes on it, right? And then one final thing, I promise. I know this is super long. I didn't know it was going to go this long, but it made me think, it made me talk. But it says, James B. Mills is a historian and author. His biography, Billy the Kid, El Bandido Simpatico, was published by the University of North Texas Press in June 2022. He dedicates this article to fellow young historians Eric Wright, James Townsend, who does Chasing Billy the Kid, and then, of course, we see who's that? John LeMay, our buddy John LeMay from Roswell, another great guy. So I thought that was fun. So there's my overly long talk on my brain thoughts, I suppose, my notes as reading this article. Like I said earlier, it's a fantastic read, so if you are able to pick up a physical copy, make sure to do that. If not, I think you can still get this online. There might even be... Whoa, what's that? True West mobile app. But yeah, definitely go check it out. Help support James, help support True West. Let's keep the history alive. I know we're all here for the love of that, right? For more Cool's book reviews, click that link to your left. If you actually go back far enough, there's a review of El Bandido Simpatico. For more about what we're doing here at Cool's Paranormal, click that link to your right. We have done an interview, so if you want to hear more from James himself, check that out. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, did you read this article, and what were your thoughts after reading it?